So, the title of our study is Students' Readiness for E-Learning and Attitude Towards Mathematics in Davao City During Pandemic. My co-researcher, Vanessa T. Imbak and Dimple M. Pantalita. So, first slide is Chapter 1, the Introduction. Students with negative perceptions towards mathematics learning often form negative attitudes towards mathematics, which in turn could affect their learning and achievement. It is according to Bayaga and Bodesango, 2014, Mahanta 2021, and Mensaje et al. 2013. Next is the importance of our study. E-readiness helps students create more opportunities, communicate new ideas, and get the chances to uplift their skills and gain knowledge apart from school education. So, online mode of learning is easily accessible and can even reach rural and remote areas. So, it is according to Dawan 2020. Next slide is the research objective. So, research objective is to determine the level of students' readiness for e-learning in terms of computer internet self-efficacy, self-directed learning, learner control, motivation for learning, online communication, self-efficacy. Number 2, to determine the perception of e-learning in terms of perceived useful of e-learning, perceived self-efficacy of using e-learning, perceived ease of use of e-learning, and behavioral intention of e-learning. To assess the level of students' attitude towards mathematics in terms of interest, achievement, orientation, anxiety, and frustration. Number 4, to determine the significant relationship between students' readiness of e-learning and the attitude of math major students towards mathematics. So, to determine which domain of students' readiness for e-learning significantly influences the attitude of math major students towards mathematics. Next slide is the hypothesis. So, the following hypothesis was tested of 0.05 level of significance. There is no significant relationship between students' readiness for e-learning and attitudes of math major students toward mathematics. There is no domain of students' readiness for e-learning significantly influences the attitude of math major students towards mathematics. Next is the review of related literature for the independent variable, which is the students' readiness for e-learning. Students' readiness is another powerful factor in implementing online learning successfully. Rasuli, Rabania, and Ataran 2016, Mossadegh, Rarazi, and Bazargan 2011. Next slide is learner control, motivation, online communication. These are the domains for students' readiness for e-learning, and learner control can be considered as an individual's ability to manage the learning process. This according to Yilmaz 2017. Next is perceived usefulness is defined as the degree to which a person believes that using a technological system support user performance. Saad Al-Maroof, Al-Humaed, and Salum 2021. Self-efficacy, perceived ease of use, and behavioral intention. These are also part of the domains of students' readiness for e-learning. Next is the related literature, review of related literature for RDV, attitude towards mathematics. Among students, factors attitude is regarded by many researchers as a key contributor to higher or lower performance in mathematics. This according to Mohammed and Wahid 2011, Mata Montero and Picciotto 2012, Gosa and Boti 2017. Interest, achievement orientation, anxiety, these are the domains for attitude towards mathematics. Next is conceptual framework. So, our conceptual framework, so this is the independent variable the students' readiness for e-learning, and dependent variable attitude towards mathematics. So next, theoretical framework. This study was anchored on the theory of Edward Thorndike, students' readiness and learning experiences that are based on students' intrinsic desire to learn and find about themselves in the world in which they live are more apt to create powerful learning experiences and preparedness for learning during this time of pandemic. Another theory is constructivism learning theory of John Piaget, 1972, and behaviorism learning theory by Skinner, 1974. So, next is the significance of this study. This study was conducted for the awareness of everyone, especially the learners and facilitators, in which they will be able to know how ready the learners in this new way of learning since pandemic start and how they act in terms of mathematics. Next is the definition of terms. Students' readiness for e-learning in this study, it refers on the preparation of students to the new way of learning, such as the computer, internet self-efficacy, and so forth. Next is attitude towards mathematics. It refers on the actions or behavior of the learners in the field of mathematics that involve self-perception and etc. So let's proceed to chapter 2, the methodology of this study. Research design. So the research, this study used a non-experimental quantitative research design, which it is a research that lacks the manipulation of an independent variable, random assignment of participants to conditions or orders of conditions, or both characteristics pertinent to experimental designs. Next is research local. So the research local, this shows the Philippine map pointing Davao City, which Davao takes pride on providing its people with high-quality education. The Davao education system is comprised of private and public educational institutions which aim to cultivate the full potential of their students. So next, population and sample. So the respondents of this study are the 100% education students major in mathematics from first year, second year, third year evening class, and fourth year at Assumption College of Davao, school year 2021-2022. So the researchers used universal sampling in conducting the study towards education students in the field of mathematics. Next is the research instrument. The research instrument were adopted the studies of Khan, Vivek, Nabe, 2020, Reyes et al., and Wong and Lam, 2003. So, next. These instruments were submitted to the research advisor for the comments and suggestions. These were validated by the experts before conduct of the survey. The validators gave an overall rating of 3.95, which means good. So these are the rating scale used in interpretations of the respondents' answer. So this is for readiness for e-learning. Rating scale for the students' perceptions for e-learning, and this is the rating scale for students' attitude towards mathematics. Next is the data collection. So the researcher will make letters asking permission to conduct a survey among the first-year college students up to fourth year and will send them to the deans of the teacher education program. After that, when the permission will be granted to conduct this study, the researcher will contact the respondents and will introduce the study in survey questionnaires. As soon as the respondents shall have understood the study in the questionnaires, the researchers immediately give them the Google form and link to respond the survey. So next is the statistical tools. The following statistical tools were used in the analysis of data: the mean, standard deviation, Pearson R, and regression. So mean is to determine the students' readiness for e-learning and the attitude of math majors students towards mathematics. The standard deviation is to provide researchers an indication of how far the individual responses to a question vary or deviate from the mean. So the Pearson R is ascertain the significant relationships between students' readiness for e-learning and the attitudes of math major students, and the regression. This was used to determine which domain of students' readiness for e-learning. So that's all, and thank you.